extension cord because, like,
Everything is twofold. What's joy is pain on the other hand. Perhaps
Sure.
the one that you love is the main cause of your suffering.
Also, welcome to Emerging Motherhood, Heather.
thank you.
You're also known as the Big Booty Baker, right?
Yes.
Okay, so today we're going to talk to Heather. If you're watching this on YouTube, know that it is also a podcast you can listen to, like just audio podcast. If you're listening to this as an audio podcast, please know that this is also a video on YouTube. I love when everybody is a part of the conversation, so please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and be a part of the conversation that we're having. So Heather was once a trad wife, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you were a trad wife, would you have said that at the time, like, I'm a trad wife, or just that was just kind of what?
I kind of knew that I was like a traditional housewife per se, but I didn't really understand like the whole meaning behind it. But because I was also Mormon. And so in the Mormon religion, you are traditionally the homemaker,
Right.
take care of the husband, take care of the kids.
Right.
Not at all. It's just like automatic.
Right. So did you have any, like when you were a little girl, that was your dream was to get married and have kids and all that?
My dream was to get married and have kids, but I wanted to actually be a child psychologist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it totally didn't do that.
Right. Oh, what happened to those dreams? You just kind of set them aside?
Yeah, it just, life happened and I got into the banking industry and I was a bank manager and just worked my way up to the top really quick. And then met my husband and got pregnant and then automatically it's kind of crazy how it just like happened so quick. And you just go into the traditional housewife role and you don't realize how slow their process is to like take you away from your friends and your family, and the verbal abuse starts to happen. I mean, it's like a really slow process. And then you believe it.
So how
and
old
then
were you married?
so we actually got pregnant first and I was 30, and yes, total like Mormon sin. And then we got married and we were together for, I think it was 11 or 12 years. We were together, and I never thought that it was going to go the way that it did, go down the way that it did. And my ex-husband was super abusive. It was crazy. Right after my son was born, and I was super passive with him.
Sure.
And like lived in fear and didn't have a voice. And I mean, I was put through walls. I was beat on the top of the head.
So you had every abuse you can think of, physical abuse.
Everything. No control of money, no control where I would go, what I would do, called every name in the book. If we got into like an argument or anything like that, and he would just start like verbally abusing me in the car, and I would just beg to be let out. Please just let me out. Please just let me out. And I just remember sitting there, please just let me out. And he literally would be like, fine, and pull over on the side of the road, let me out. And that was it. Never would come and get me. So I would call friends to come and get me and pick me up and then take me home.
And that was just regular shit. Like it was an argument and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Just fine, get out. And you're
and my son in the car.
Oh,
and he would take my son. And then I would get out and I would wait for somebody to come and get me. And then I would be taken back to the house and I would sit on the front porch for hours, waiting for the door to be open.
Wow.
Happened all the time.
Wow. And was that like from the beginning of the marriage, or is that kind of later once?
No, it started happening. So in the beginning, right after my son was born, was when everything completely changed. He became super like possessive of my son, and that he could do everything better, and kind of like pushed me to the side. So he very much like played in the beginning, the role of a mother's role. And he was more of like, I'll stay home and be a stay-home dad, but he also worked from home. And so I started going back to work shortly after. And then I was just like, I can't do this. Like, it was just a mess. So I started staying home and he started working, and I started homeschooling my son, and he graduated out of UCLA with an economics degree. And so he would constantly be like, you can't homeschool our son. You're not smart enough. I mean, we're talking elementary school.
Right.
And just the abuse started probably, I would say, when my son turned, he always was like super verbally abusive, but it really started physically when he was, I would say, probably about 3.
Oh my God. So still a tiny little toddler, and now you got this extra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it just, like, he would say, because in the Mormon religion, the man is the patriarch. And so he would say, like, I'm the patriarch, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
And I remember like one fight we had, I had was like starting to get my strength and say no and push back a little bit. And he was in the bedroom, which we never shared a bedroom. I had to sleep in a separate bedroom. Didn't
You
even have clothes.
your whole marriage.
Huh?
Hi. Was that like his rule, or was that like a Mormon thing?
It was his rule because that's how he was raised. So it's that learned behavior. And so my ex-husband kind of did the same thing. And he was always above me. He was always like, he had the nicer clothes, took care of himself, went and like just had more than me. I wasn't worthy
Right.
of having that stuff.
You don't need any of that stuff. I have
Exactly. And so I slept in separate room. And I remember one time, my son was probably, I would say, 6 or 7. And I remember he was in the bedroom, in the primary bedroom, and he walks out, and I had just cooked my son and I dinner because I was like, I'm not cooking him dinner. I'm putting my foot down. He comes out and he's like, where's my dinner? And I'm like, go cook it yourself. That was like
Right.
later that night, he beat the living crap out of me.
Oh.
My son went to bed. I remember like getting into an argument. We argued the whole night, and he's like, no, get out there and cook dinner for me. Like, throw the steak on the barbecue. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And I remember later that night, he started bringing up like my stepdad, and he started saying stuff because my stepdad was super abusive. And he's like, you deserved it. And he just started saying these like really mean things. And I was getting frustrated, and he wouldn't let me walk away. And I remember standing in the hallway, and he was in his office. Like, he was like Mr. Mighty in his office. And I remember getting up, and I got close to him because I was starting to get frustrated of being treated like this year after year, day after day. And he pushed me back. And I remember I slapped him in the face. Like, it was an open hand slap. And he pushed me all the way back to the hallway area. And I slid down, and I was in fetal position, and he was just beating on top of my head just over and over. And he was hitting me so hard and kicking me that you could see me in fetal position through the wall. It broke the sheetrock of the wall. And you could see how I was like curled up in fetal position. And I was just begging him to stop. And that was probably one of the worst nights of what had happened, like physically. And then I remember he called our bishop, and the bishop rescued him. Talked to me, come and sleep at our house, talked me into not calling the cops. He's like, you don't want that. You don't want to go through that, all that drama. We could talk about it tomorrow. And it was like nothing even happened. Nothing even happened.
The church was actively helping hide it. Like, they knew what
Oh,
was.
oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you were in the marriage, like, how were you justifying the behavior in your head? Do you know what I mean? Like, what were you telling?
I deserved it.
Oh, so you were believing what he said, like, oh, I did deserve
100%. 100%. Oh yeah. Like, I deserved it.
So
I don't.
And you would apologize to him. I'm so sorry. You're right.
All the time. All the time. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. You're right. You're right. Oh yeah.
with bruises and still pain and like, and you meant
Yep.
it. Sorry, you were
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah. Because I'm a super, super empathetic person naturally. And
sure.
I'd be like, you're right, I'm so sorry. And then would like start catering to him. And he would get on this hamster wheel. You go round and round and round constantly until they wear you down.
Right.
And the gaslighting, and it's like this slow process, and then it's, let me turn it, now I'm going to turn it on me. You hurt my feelings, how do you think I feel? Look at what you did. If you wouldn't have said that, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, it was just this wheel of like emotional mind f.
Yeah.
And so finally, and he would move us around, because as soon as I got close to somebody, or like close to the
And
church or anything like that, I would get pulled away. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. Nobody even wants to be around you. And would constantly just, it was like that slow process.
just,
And then after like a big fight or something like that, and I admitted it was my fault. And then he would take me to go to like Clinique and get makeup, or he would take me shopping to get a dress for church.
and make it up to
Things,
you, get up to you a little bit. Love bomb.
yes, yes, total love bombing. And then I would be like, okay, he cares about me because he cares how I look. No, it's because he was wearing Armani suits and wanted me to match his dress code and his look at church, because nobody at church even knew except the bishop. Almost everywhere we lived, like nobody knew. Were all like super shocked when we split up, because they thought we had this little perfect family.
Right.
And so many people said that. They were in complete shock.
So in your marriage, when you say like it was a trad marriage, but then he also wanted you to work, was there that pressure to do everything? Like,
100%. And I
uh,
had no control over the money at
no,
all.
so you worked and then it just went into his account, or was it a joint account?
No, no, we've never even had a joint account.
It was,
Everything was given to him.
wow. And so then
Hmm.
imagine when you divorced, it was just like it never happened. Like was
Yeah.
the equitable, but like was it a fair divorce? Like do you feel like when it all shook out in the end, like you got kind of what you
Oh, I
deserved, or
did this.
oh, you were like, forget it, I don't
I
care.
want nothing. I want nothing.
I just want to,
I want out. Just want out. And so I did not get any child support. I did not get any alimony. I didn't ask for it. I was like, I don't want anything. I just want to be left alone. And we went through court for 5 years. Yeah.
wow. The divorce took 5 years, or just 5 years of 5 years to divorce?
And the custody battle. Yep. He fought me constantly. And I remember like going to court, and the courts, I'm grateful, especially in California, that they didn't give up, because I remember going to court and it was like these emergency ex parte hearings constantly, and by both of us. And
Could you
he
explain
wouldn't.
really quick in case somebody doesn't know what is an emergency ex parte?
So in the state of California, emergency ex parte is, and I don't know if they have it in other states, but basically, if it's meant for, if the child is in immediate danger, you can file with the courts and be in front of a judge within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. Oh, it's
And
right in front of the judge right now.
yes, now, like, this is an emergency. My child is in danger. We need to see a judge now. And he would constantly file those. He would even send the cops over to do a wellness check, and just harassment.
Sure.
And so I remember one time, finally, like, I was just patient, and he got my son at one point for about 7 months. I didn't even talk to my son when he was a teenager, because he was a teen and he was the Disneyland dad. And so he let my son do whatever he wanted. And I had more of a structure. And I remember going to court, and we were in front of the judge because we were trying to finalize everything. And the judge said, "You are formally admonished," because my husband wouldn't give my son back to me. We had 50-50 custody. I wanted nothing, like, I didn't want him to have less, and I didn't want to have less. I always wanted 50-50. He said, "You're formally admonished by the courts," because dad would not give him back to me. when it was my days. And I didn't really understand what that meant. And then he was like, if you don't follow this custody order, because we went through like mediation like 3 times, if you don't follow this custody order, this is the first step of you serving time in jail. So he said, you're formally admonished. The next time you don't follow this court order, you'll do 5 days in jail. And then it builds up from there. And I'm like, oh my God, like finally, like somebody's seen what he's doing. And then I got it in the mail from the court, just, the cover sheet. And then behind that, all the paper said was his name. You are hereby formally admonished by the Placer County Superior Court's judge, da da da. And I was like, finally, like, yeah.
Yes.
And he said that, our son could not choose, because as they get older in California, typically it's age 12 that you can choose which parent you want to be with. But we were with this judge for so long, and he's like followed the case. And I always stayed like calm and like, I just want us both to be a part of my son's life. And he wouldn't let, our son was 15 at the time, and he wouldn't let our son pick which parent to be with. He even had his sister, his sister's husband, his parents, all of them write letters about me, how Tyler should be with his dad. And then after he was formally admonished, he started to allow Tyler to come to me. So we had to do like a reunification, because he just totally turned Tyler away from me. And we slowly would like just meet and go for a walk or go to lunch or whatever. So it's just, I mean, and unfortunately, after I split up with my husband, I went into another emotionally abusive situation for 8 years, and escaped that as well. And now I'm very cautious of
Relationship.
the people. Yeah.
So then at some point during your marriage, baking must have been like a hobby or something that you became like the big booty baker. Kind of what helped you?
So I knew I wanted to start getting the strength to leave, but I needed money to do that. And I didn't work outside the home.
Okay.
And so I've always been very artistic. And so I started slowly building my business. As what I would do would say, if you bring me a pound of sugar and a pound of butter and 5 pounds of flour, I'll make you this cake. And I had a friend of mine show me how to do fondant one time. She was a baker as well, and she showed me how to do it. And I'm like, okay. So it was just trial and error. And then I would say, okay, if you bring me 5 pounds of flour and a dozen eggs and $20, I'll make this cake. So I started to like, it was all about product, and slowly started to get the price increased.
And these were like
And
friends and stuff. You were like, oh, for that birthday party, just buy
mhm,
ingredients and I'll make it for you. And then it was slowly
yes,
and like $20 and then I'll make it for you.
yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. And we just slowly like build it up over time. And and learn and watch videos, and just, you know, just keep going at it to the point where finally I was like, okay, I could do this, for $50 and no ingredients. And then I could, and I just would build it up to the point where now that's what I do full time.
Wow.
And but I've always felt that building up the business, you can't have a business without having a community. And you can't have and you need that community to support your business. So I try to support the community back. I think that that's what we should do. And I've always been big into like volunteering our entire life. That's how our mom raised us, and our grandma, is you help your neighbors. And so I just continued to build it up, and I do a lot in the community. And through my business, I've been able to meet some really amazing people. And I'm a part of an organization called Icing Smiles, which helps children have birthday cakes. It's children that have illnesses. So anywhere from cancer to any type of life-threatening illness. It also covers their siblings. And so like say a child needs heart surgery and it's their birthday coming up, they contact me, and then we make the cake, and then we donate the cake. And it includes siblings as well.
You've also been featured on the Food Network. Have you participated in like one of their competitions or something? What was that?
No, so in November 8th of 2018, Paradise, California had a fire. They called the campfire. And so I started helping and getting resources to the survivors of the fire. And then we started making cakes for kids that were displaced, because I've always believed that everybody deserves a special cake. And so myself and another baker, started taking cakes up there every week. And we had this like page, and people would be like, we would just post, if you have a child that has a birthday, let us know. So from November, towards the end of November until February, we were taking cakes up there once a week, anywhere from 4 to 13 cakes a week. And we kind of both split the cake making. And it was all 100% out of our pocket, volunteer based. And so we would just take cakes up there, and then also other supplies we would take up there as well. Like people were dropping off clothes and things like that, and toys. And we would take those up there and drive to Chico. And so through that, we were kind of starting to be like, okay, this is like full time. And so we reached out to a couple businesses, and asked, like, would you be interested in helping us, maybe with flour or sugar, like donating any type of product donation. This is what we're doing. And I happened to reach out to, I did reach out to Cake Boss, but they're, understandably back east, so it's a little bit harder. So I reached out to Charm City Cakes, which is Duff Goldman from like Ace of Cakes, Cupcake Wars. And I reached out to Charm City Cakes, and I was talking to the gal there at the business, and she just said, just shoot us an email. And I have the email still. It was just hey, would you be interested in donating maybe some sugar or flour? Like, it was really just a short email. And then all of a sudden I get this phone call from this gentleman, and he's like, hi, my name is so and so. I'm with the production crew. So I'm thinking warehouse production.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, cool. I was like, oh, did you guys want to donate flour? Or, what can you do? He's like, no, a TV show. I'm like, huh? I'm like, "What do you mean?" And so that's when he called me. He's like, I'll check with you in a couple weeks and see if you are still interested in doing, if you want to do something like this. And so that's kind of how it started. So basically, the show is with Duff Goldman, and they came here to Roseville to film this show. And he was great. He was just like, I just told him, right when I met him, I was like, thank you so much. Like, this means a lot. And none of the families that we filmed with from Paradise knew that he was going to be there, and that they just thought they were having a fun day at a laser tag place and having pizza, like a party day, and celebrating everybody's party, kind of just feel normal for a day from this fire.
A one-time special thing that they did because of the fire?
No, it's called, the TV show is called It Takes the Cake.
Oh.
And so I think it's got a couple seasons.
Oh, wow. Do you know which season, like which episode you are? Or
I'm the first season, first episode.
oh my God, how
Um,
cool.
yeah, so it was a really good experience. And then from that, before that happened, I was another fire survivor, is a huge Sacramento Kings fan, and they had him on the Sacramento Kings radio, and he had talked about me and what I was doing and how I had helped him. So then the Kings radio had contacted me, and I went in and did like a 45-minute interview on the radio. Um and then it led to and then I did like another interview on another station. um and then just over the years started, like, I was in a magazine, and all of it's based off of like my community service. And then other like Instagram influencers would write stories about me, like as empowering women. There's another gal that I follow, and she did a story about me of like just, like another woman building a community and building a business. And so it's just led to like other things over the years. And it's just, I try to, continue doing customer service.
Like,
That's the banking days. Yeah, service to the community. And with it, I mean, you get beat up by social media. I was just on the front cover of the newspaper a couple weeks ago, and anytime a story is written about me, I'm on something, I start to get attacked. I just leave it. I'm like, we know what kind of animals play in the mud, and I'm not going to play in the mud.
that's that. So from when you started baking cakes and like started to feel that need of like, gosh, I really don't want to be in this marriage anymore, how long did it take you to kind of build up the business to where you were like, okay, fuck you, I can leave now. I got fuck you money now.
Um, so I started the business probably, I would say, about a year and a half to 2 years.
Into the marriage?
No, 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 I'm sorry. Um, 10 years into the marriage.
Oh, 10 years into the marriage, and then it took you a couple years to get it going before you could leave.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this and to support yourself since you left, you've just been able to support yourself with cakes and just like whatever else you can if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is so amazing.
Cleaning houses. I did anything, whatever, because I wanted to be able to, not just provide for my son, but also myself. And so I would clean houses half of the week and then start doing cakes in half of the week and just slowly built it up.
Wow. That is so how
Mhm.
long have you been a baker now? How long has it been?
It has been September will be 9 years.
Wow, good for you. Oh wow, good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
It's amazing. Look back at yourself like when you were first getting married. What would you say to yourself then?
What would I say to myself?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like, were there flags when you met him? Like, were you kind of ignoring?
No.
No, it was just,
Mm-mm. Yeah. No, I didn't see any flags. But again, how do we see flags if we already come from a family of domestic violence?
yeah, yeah,
Of a stepdad that did the same shit to
yeah,
my mom. Um, I mean, my stepdad was super abusive. I was backhanded across the face in 8th grade, and I'm 5'2", like, and he was 6'3". I
wow.
mean, we were beat with the bell back in those days. So when you're already from a domestic violence family, that's your normal.
Sure, it's really easy to get into it.
I don't think, and a lot of people ask me that have asked, I talk about it and stuff. And they say like, I'm sorry. And I just say through the two abusive situations, the second one was verbal, not physical. The first one was both. And they say like, I'm so sorry, that you had to go through that. And I just say like, I honestly, and I know it probably sounds crazy, I wouldn't change a thing because it got me to where I'm at today. I learned to have a voice. I learned that I can be strong and that I can say no. And so I don't think I would change anything because I think I would have been that passive little girl that I was if it was different. And I mean, I was so shy. I would not talk to anybody. And now I literally will talk to everybody. And I've
You
kind of learned, hmm?
front page of the newspaper, fucking food now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
totally out there everywhere. And I don't think if I went through that abuse that I would be where I'm at today. Who knows where I'd be, you know? So even through all of the pain and stuff, I wouldn't change anything, any of it.
sure.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
who you are, you love who you are today, and that's what made
Yeah.
you. Um,
Yeah.
When you see all the new trad wife shit online, what do you think about it when you see it? All the girls that are so excited to do all their cutesy stuff.
It's fake. Most people that have this perfect Instagram and social media are the ones that are hurting the most. And those are the ones that, we have to be like, look, I see you. When you're ready, I'm here. Um, it's just, it's not reality. I
Right,
can't imagine, like, I just can't see how anybody thinks that that's okay.
right. Or how
You
is
know,
you don't want to milk a fucking cow in a fluffy, floral ruffly dress. Like that just doesn't even make any fucking sense.
it's for Instagram.
Yeah.
You hear it all the time. Like, there's so many people that there are those people that do come out and be like, this was fake. Like, this was all just an act. Um, and it's sad because it makes women that are struggling, that are ready to get out, like, okay, am I wrong? And question themselves. And it's sad. And I'm 50. And so it's like this younger generation where, 30, in that 30 age group, 20s and 30s, they think that that's normal. And you can only do so much, but sometimes, we have to learn on our own. And it's just, I see it and I watch it and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Seriously. It literally looks like they're playing like, girl, no, that's
It's like
not.
they're playing Little House on the Prairie.
Yes, yes, they're just cosplaying for the day. But after 10 years,
Hmm.
did it for 10 years, had been through all of it, like, oh girl, your fucking energy runs out. No, there's no
It
way.
it does. It's exhausting. And I mean, of course, like, I love being a mom. Like, I love to be a mom. And um but there's, especially if your kids are in public school, like my mom, we were in public school. She worked while we were in school, and then came home after, was there after school until we, like, obviously got older. Um but it's just, what are you going to do when those kids move out of the house?
Yep, yep, yep. Exactly.
You're going to sit there and serve your husband dinner? Like, what do you want people, like, what do you want people to remember you by? Like, how do you want people to know who you
Yeah,
are? What do you want them to say when you're gone? If
yeah,
you're stuck in that, like, I'm like, no offense, but like, if you're stuck at home and nobody really knows you because you're afraid, what are they going to say? Like, she was a good housewife? Like, I want people to remember how I made them feel, and not just what I did for them, but together what I did for them and how that made them feel and how that changed their life. Because unconsciously, we're all changing each other. Um, this conversation and interaction, it changes us forever, whether we realize it or not. On a conscious or unconscious level, it changes. And if women would get out of those four walls of their home and be a part of the community, they can slowly get to know people, and they can, if they're being abused, they could escape that trad wife and know that they're meant for more.
yeah.
And you can still be a good mom and still do more.
Absolutely.
um, it's sad.
Yeah. So, are you still making cakes now? Like, if somebody wanted a cake from the Big Booty Bakery, they can.
Yep, still making cakes
What's
and cookies.
like your website or your social media is the best way to get in touch with you?
Social media, yeah, on Big Booty Bakery, Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. And I will have all your links everywhere so people can contact.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Big Booty. It's Big Booty Bakery Co. on Instagram, and then Big Booty Bakery on
okay.
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
California, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
In
perfect.
Sacramento area.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. I think it's so, so, so important for women to hear stories because we all can see little pieces of us. And, you know, I don't think women believe in themselves enough to know, like, girl,
Right.
you could bake cakes, you could clean houses, you could do a lot of things to save yourself, but it does take you
A ton.
to save yourself. So,
Yeah, a ton. There's so much you can do. Yeah.
thank you so much. It was such a joy and a pleasure and an honor to
Thank you.
motherhood. Get to do this.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad. I've been following you a long time. Bye.
Please don't let me drown.